Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, we're in the shop today. We will only be in here for a little bit. We're actually going to be working outside on the truck. And as you guys know, I've had my truck for, I think I'm going on 7 or 8 years of ownership right now. And I've noticed that there's been a lot of slop in the drivetrain. I actually shot some video, we'll cut to that here. You will see that the engine is moving around a ton while I have it while I'm revving it in gear and I have my foot on the brake. So there's a lot of slop in the drivetrain that we can help remediate. And that drivetrain slop is contributing to a lot of noise that we're hearing. Like we're hearing bangs between shifts, we're hearing bangs, going from park to drive, park, reverse, neutral, drive. We're hearing some noise there. So I think it's finally, after 250,000 miles, it's finally time to start replacing some of the mounts and stuff. So we're actually going to kick off this build series by replacing the engine mounts, because I'm pretty sure I've got a torn driver's side engine mount. I won't know until I get the engine mount out, but I've been reading, and these trucks, whether you have the 8.1 big block or the Duramax, they like to tear the mounts pretty easily. So I actually went ahead and ordered new mounts, and you guys can see these right here. These are a set of mounts from Amazon. And as you guys can see, these are, metal construction. They're all fully welded and have been painted. But if you see the engine mount itself, they're actually a polyurethane, a hard rubber type. Yeah, that's not Delrin. That's definitely a some type of poly for the mount itself. So here's, same thing on the driver's side. You guys will see that the material right here is going to be stiffer than what is factory. And yes, I'm fully well aware that we'll probably get some extra vibration from these polyurethane mounts, but if I'll sacrifice a little bit of vibration for just mounts that aren't sloppy, and I don't want to go with another set of OEM mounts that will just tear again. So you might get 50 to 100,000 miles out of an OEM mount, but I just wanted to go aftermarket with this, and hopefully we just have a better, more solid drivetrain and nothing's moving around. Because as you guys saw earlier in the video, you did see the engine slop to one side, going from the driver's side to the passenger side with a lot of motion, and we want to solidify that. Now these mounts weren't super expensive. I want to say it was like 250 bucks for the set, something like that. Maybe it was 260. But if you guys want to go with the OEM mounts, they're about 120, $125 a mount. So you're looking basically about the same price of GM price versus this aftermarket mount. And from what I read on Amazon, these actually have pretty decent reviews. But let's go ahead, we'll get the truck torn apart. Alright guys, we got started by removing the inner splash shield from the driver's side, and there's obviously some wiring and stuff that we disconnected because that is actually kind of zip tied in or with push pin connected to the fender liner. So I removed all that, disconnected some wires like I said, and now what we're doing is actually removing the side of the motor mount. So there's two 19mm bolts that go through the frame. We're going to take those out, and then we're going to go after the motor mount itself, which is obviously attached to the block. Alright guys, so you can see these two 19mm bolts right here in the middle of the picture. That is what actually connects the motor mount to the chassis. So we're going to go ahead, take those two bolts out, and I do have the engine supported by the bell housing with a floor jack, so it shouldn't go anywhere. But you just want to take those two bolts out, and then we're going to be going after the motor mount bolts, which you may or may not be able to see. There's one right there actually below the screen behind the oil filter housing. There's 4 bolts. That's one of them. I'm not sure how bad the other ones will be to reach, but they look to be mostly reachable. I mean, especially right here, there's one above the oil housing, so these two shouldn't be too bad. There might be one further up that we can't get to. So let's go ahead and take the 19mm out, and then we'll start on the motor mount block bolts. Alright guys, I did get the 2 bolts out that hold the mount to the frame, and I do have a bit of a correction. Those are actually an 18mm bolt, not a 19, so I apologize for that. So those 2 bolts were an 18. That's pulled out. Now we basically just got to get the motor mount disconnected from the block. There's 4 15mm bolts, and I believe they're torqued to 43 foot-pounds. So you might need a brake bar to get those loose too. And they're going to be, you're not going to see them very well, but they are, kind of hidden back between the oil filter housing, the frame, and all the other stuff that's around here. All right, guys, we got all 4 of the motor mount bolts out. You'll see they're all on the ground here. If you guys look in the engine bay, you will see the motor mount's actually kind of hanging here. So I definitely had a broken motor mount here on the driver's side, because this is all jacked up. That should be one piece. It's not quite 2 pieces, but if I probably ripped hard enough, I'd rip the very last part of the rubber. And how I got access to the bolts was from underneath, from the side, from the front. You kind of just need to work your way around the that bracket and use every extension that you have. I actually ended up using a wrench on one of them because I had access to it. The driver's side upper, the one it's actually behind the steering column here, I had access to that with a wrench, so I just ended up using an open-ended wrench, knock that loose. And these bolts are really small, so they pop out pretty easily, but kind of like I said, you're just gonna have to work your way around and get the motor mounts out. It's not really a good way to pop them out super easily. You're just gonna have to figure it out. It's basically what I had to do. So, all right, guys, you can see the OEM mount. It was ripped. Now, it may not have been ripped 100% of the way, but just taking it out of the car or the truck, it did rip all the way. So this is supposed to be, you know, 1/2, something like that. So we did definitely have a bad motor mount. And here is the aftermarket mount. Pretty simple. It's just 4 bolts. I'm actually going to split in half because I did this on the passenger side. Take the 2 bolts out. I believe these are 19 mil. Take these out. Bolt the block mount to the block. Leave all the stuff out because it'll give you enough room to torque it. And then I will put this half on the frame side and bolt that in. Alright, guys, you can see the new motor mount is mounted. I haven't torqued it yet. Like I said, I did split the motor mount in half, just so that's a little bit easier to get back in there and put all the bolts in. And with all the room that we have right now, I'm actually going to torque this down, because if we start putting the frame mount, the other side of the motor mount, you know, we're just going to lose that much more room. Plus, we got to lower this thing down, because right now it's still on the floor jack. So get these torqued down to 43 foot-pounds. That's going to be all the new hardware that you guys can see. We'll get those 4 bolts torqued down, and from the motor mount side, we're done. The frame, we still got to do that other half. Alright, guys, you will see the other half of the motor mount installed. That's the piece that is going to bolt down to the frame. Obviously, the motor and transmission are in the air right now, so that won't be able to connect to the frame, but we'll let the jack down. That'll hit the frame. Then we can put in the last 3 bolts and we'll finish this up. Alright, guys, we have officially wrapped up the truck engine mount swap project. Did you ever have one of those projects that just absolutely kicked your butt? This engine mount swap project was one of the hardest products that I've had to do in a really long time. I know some people might say it's fairly easy, but I'll be honest, removing the entire driveline out of a Corvette is easier than getting those damn mounts done. The reason I say that is because the Corvette, there's room, it's designed better for you to take stuff off, and just, you know, those mounts were just a complete nightmare. I did not film the passenger side because I actually did that last night, and that took me 3 hours, and I just finished the driver's side, and that took me 3+ hours. So if you guys are going to be doing a engine mount swap, budget for at least 6 hours. If you're, you know, and I'm pretty mechanically inclined, but it's just trying to get access to everything, taking stuff apart to get to it, and it's just a nightmare. But, you know, kind of like we showed, it's fairly easy to get to, but it's getting the right angle, getting the right, you know, adapters and all that stuff, just trying to get sockets and stuff back there, and it's just really difficult. But yeah, and then I ran into issues, but you know, it is what it is. But the engine mounts are done. I am glad I did this project because I thought that I had a bad engine mount, but I wasn't sure. And if you guys saw earlier, you know, we did show you the mount that was split in half. So we do definitely have a bad engine mount. Now, is that going to be it for this round of mods on the truck? Actually, it is not. I've got a couple more repairs and a couple more modifications that we'll be doing. So we've got a little bit of a truck series. Actually, I think the previous video might have been a truck video as well. So kind of continuing that, so we've got this little cluster of truck videos. Did want to give you a couple pointers back on the engine mounts. I did split them like I said, and that gave me enough room to get everything attached. The 18mm bolts that go through the frame, those are the ones that you have to get from the bottom. Those actually torque down to 55 foot-pounds, so make sure you torque those properly. We showed you kind of torquing the engine block side, that's 43 foot-pounds. But the one part we didn't show you was actually bolting those 3 bolts that go to the frame. Those torque down to 48 foot-pounds. So 43, 48, 55, 43 is the block, 48 is going to be the frame, then 55 is going to be those bolts that go through the frame for that engine mount bracket. And I do apologize for being completely disgusting, but I did just finish the mounts, and like I said, I've been out here for maybe almost 4.5 hours getting this stupid project done. But yeah, so hopefully the truck rides a little bit better. I am fully aware by switching from the rubber to poly, we probably will pick up a little bit more vibration, but I've probably been driving around on a split motor mount for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer. So maybe that little bit of extra vibration will be actually better than a split motor mount, and every time you gas it, the whole thing just kind of clanks. But yeah, so that's actually it for today's video. If you guys want to see those upcoming videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications, and if you guys want to help support the channel, I'll drop some links for the engine mounts down below. Maybe some of the tools, but definitely the engine mounts, those will be down below. And make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.